Welcome to Shear It Up Podcast.
So, welcome to Shear It Up. I am Haley, and with me today I have the wonderful Cambria Frank.
Hello.
Hi. So, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Like, what about me?
Like, what do you do? What, your business, but also just you.
Well, my name's Cambria, obviously. I do hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 21, so I'm very young.
Young? Why am I always friends with the younger people?
Yeah,
I realize this.
I graduated in 2021.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. I always thought you were older.
No.
I was thinking like
Jada
25.
The same thing.
26.
That's exactly what Jada said. No. I just turned 21, like, not too long ago.
Oh my gosh, you're like baby 21.
Yes.
I'm old.
No.
I just didn't think that. Honestly, I would have guessed like 25, 26.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm very young. So I started doing hair in September of 21 with Mandy.
Right. Yes.
So I started in September because I was trying to find a place after graduating. And then worked there for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then just moved to Cassandra's, almost 2 years.
I was going to say, it's been,
oh my God.
It's been 4 years, girl.
Oh my God.
She just had that realization, and I could see it on your face. I was like, oh, she just
I was like about to say, I'm like, oh, it's only been like a year. No. I've been on my own for almost 2 years.
It goes quick.
Crazy.
I still feel like you're still, like, I still remember you at, like, Mandy's.
Yes.
But here's the crazy part. So this is how I'm going to make myself sound real old and not mean to, but I remember I hadn't graduated hair school yet, and Mandy was still in her talk of the town out in the little house.
Yeah.
And then to see, like, because I'll never forget, Mandy was the one that was like, you're a veteran stylist now. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. You just now have somebody underneath you, and I have another person underneath me. Yes. Like, yes, you are.
No, and I remember the first time doing your hair, because I'm like, oh, she does hair.
It's pressure.
Hair. I'm like, oh my God.
When Mandy asked me to do her hair, I literally had like a slight meltdown. I was like, oh my gosh, my stylist wants me to do her hair, and I'm so nervous.
So, okay, can I talk about the
anything, everything?
Okay. I don't want to ramble.
No, you're fine.
So the first time Mandy made me do her hair wasn't like, can you please do my hair? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you're doing it. I'm like, okay. So all my sisters and my mom and my aunts, they're all super blonde. Mm-hmm. So that's all I ever like really had done was like really blonde. Well, she's like, I want highlights, but like she's got
darker hair. So for the stylist listening, she's like a level 5, 6 naturally.
Yeah. So maybe she likes like a dimensional, but she likes blonde in there.
Like a expensive brunette.
Yes.
I hate saying the terminology, but that.
Yes, but so she's like, just not too blonde, Cambria. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know how to do not too blonde, because I'm like, how do I do it without it being stripy and chunky? You know,
you were trying to do
all things. So I'm rinsing it, and I'm like, gosh, she is blonde.
Were you having the panic moment of like,
I'm like, well, she's definitely blonde. And then we're blow drying, and she's like, Cambria, I look like Dolly Parton.
Oh,
so I mean, she was not like...
No, if you know Mandy, like, she's really laid back, and I'm sure she was more joking about it, but also for a young stylist. Because if she would have done that to me, I would have literally had a heart attack.
Because I was like, oh, Lord. And then she was sending me, like, pictures of Dolly Parton, and I'm like, stop it.
Oh, she just, like, rubbed it in where she's like, watch this.
Yes.
I love it. So that's actually how you and I met, was through Mandy.
Yeah.
And then you and Lacey are close in age. Well, you, Lacey, and Jada.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm old.
When did Lacey graduate?
21.
Oh, so we graduated together?
Mm-hmm. She did. I think she started hair school in the like early April because she graduated high school like a semester early.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably why. But yeah. All right. So I have a serious question for you.
Okay.
What coffee do you drink?
Well, I normally make it at home if I have coffee.
Right.
I don't like Dunkin'.
No, that's fine.
Nope. If I go somewhere, it'll be Starbucks.
Agreed. I like the bitter Starbucks bold taste.
Tastes like coffee.
It tastes like coffee, not like syrup.
I'm just going to say it. People who like Dunkin' don't like coffee.
Yeah, I have a hard time drinking Dunkin'. I drink it because it's local in town and we can get it. But I also live in Liberty, so I get Kahila. Like I had Kahila this morning.
That's good.
I love Kahila.
They're
coffee.
good.
I'm obsessed.
It's cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
I've become really close friends with Dara now. And we did the podcast together and then like we've become closer since.
Yeah.
But I am obsessed with her coffee shop. And she now is like all in and I love it. If you haven't been in there recently, she remodeled. It's super cute in there. So yeah, that's my serious question that I ask everybody. I'm like, so iced hot, where from, what coffee?
I was gonna say definitely hot through winter, iced to summer.
Yeah.
I'm more of like pop though.
Oh, are you a pop girly?
Yeah. So like if I'm craving like a drink, I want like Dr. Pepper. But it's gotta be like, you gotta spice it up. It can't just be Dr. Pepper. It's gotta have cream and syrup.
So you would like out in Utah where they have like all what is it? What's the one pop place that's supposed to be? Thank you. I knew you would know. I'm like, what's the one pop place?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually don't like carbonation, so I don't like pop.
Oh,
I like don't drink pop. Like, it's so funny. Like, Levi sees, like, I have a little mini fridge in my salon, and he's always like, how do you not ever run out of all the pops and stuff? And I'm like, because I don't drink it.
Wow.
My clients do. I don't touch it.
I would say I don't drink it often, but, like, it's like, you know, when you're like, oh, I want a coffee. That's me, like, with pop, really.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I've had 3 cups today alone. I've been trying to wean down. You're making that face. I've gone up to, like, 5 cups of coffee, and then I realized I was drinking pre-workout an energy drink, 5 cups of coffee, and then I wondered why I wasn't sleeping.
Good night.
So I went back down. This has been about 6 months. I went down to having 1 cup of coffee normally a day, and then I have my energy drink. And I stopped taking pre-workout unless it's leg day.
You do all that with an energy drink? Oh my gosh. Oh.
So your heart's getting better-ish.
You're gonna.
That's why I stopped. I had like way too much caffeine. Like if you totaled it, I probably had enough caffeine to kill an elephant.
I would say.
So yeah, I'm obsessed. It's a problem. All right. So what makes you love what you do?
There's a lot of things. There's so many things. But I would say probably the main thing is like, I feel like you get such good connections. I mean, like you and I.
Yeah.
Like you just get such good connections with people and you become their like person kind of to like they vent to you. Yeah. And so a lot of times I know the first of, you know, pregnancies or, you know, it's just like, wow, like they told me.
Tear guide.
I know, I'm like, wow, they told me before so many people. Like I had one girl, I was literally the 3rd person to know, and I'm like, I don't even know you.
Right?
I didn't even know her at that time, and I was just like,
well, my most recent, I think, big one, and I shouldn't say most recent, it's been over a year. Her husband had passed away the night before, and she did not miss her appointment because she just wanted to have me and some normalcy. And I was like, what an honor. Yes. Like that's who you chose to be around. And of course, like all I wanted to do was hug her.
Right. And cry.
And cry with her, But being there for that genuine connection.
Right.
And I think sometimes, like, especially in social media, I know I've said this in multiple other podcasts, I could probably play it on repeat at this point, but I feel like our industry has taken a turn to feeling very fake and upfront with social media being what it is.
Yep.
And then when you get people like me, you, and Jada and Lacey, where you do have this genuine connection. Right. Like, it's not just a front on TikTok or Facebook or whatever. It's really genuinely like, when you're in my chair, you're in my chair.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of brings me around to, it's a couple questions away, but we're going to go ahead and go into it. You have a suite like me.
Yeah.
Where it's just you.
Yep.
In that back room.
Yes.
Do you love it?
I do. I do like it. I don't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. So that's why I really like where I'm at. Because
you can have the best of both worlds.
It can be opened. Mm-hmm. Like I can completely close myself off. Mm-hmm. But I just leave that door open. And like if Cassandra's there or Jada, like we can kind of like talk to each other without like leaving what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like nice to like have people.
I get that.
But it's also nice to be able to be alone if I need.
I was going to say, I feel like for me, that has been the biggest challenge. It's honestly why when Lacey left, I was kind of like, okay, like I'm excited to be, my clients were very excited for that private experience that you can give with closing the door.
Yep.
And like for me, like I'm exclusively by myself. And it's actually funny, when I moved in here, my husband saw this room and I was like, yeah, it's my pod lab. And my husband went, you could put somebody else in there and, you know, make money. I was like, no, no. And I think people take that as like, I don't work well with others.
Yeah.
And it's not that.
It's not.
I just like my private experience with my clients.
And I'll say, I feel like the longer you do hair, the more you do realize like how private some things need to be.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there's many times I'll shut my door because it's just like what they're going through, they don't want the whole world to know. So it's like being able to close yourself off and it just be you two. So nice. So
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like I even have, like with me moving here, I've had a few people walk in.
Yeah.
And I've, like, it almost makes me want to lock the door. Even though I have these giant windows, it makes me want to lock the door so that those moments are still very much captured.
Right.
And again, it goes back to that genuine, caring moment. And I knew, like you said, like you kind of have it the best of both worlds where you get to see people versus I have to like reach out.
Right.
Like I love coming into your guys' studio. I feel like every time I'm in there though, Cassandra's not in there, but I'm off on Tuesdays and she's off on Tuesdays. So that's why. But I'm always like, I always miss her.
I know.
But it's nice to see that like you still have that space, but you still have that connection with your coworkers.
Yes, it's fun.
It's a different way. And I know the industry is kind of changing more towards that studio suite side of things, especially in like the bigger cities. We're in a small town. We don't see it as much, but it's kind of crazy. We do have a lot of salons though.
Oh my gosh, we do.
Somebody asked me to count the other day and I think I got up to 14.
Good night.
And that was like rough estimate 14. Like that's not even like the in-home salons that you know exist.
Right.
So it's like, wow.
Yeah, we have a lot here.
Where you went to, did you go here? WTCC? Okay.
Yeah.
So who did you have? Who was your teachers?
Dora Jones.
Okay.
I had the like assistants.
Jamie.
No.
I was going to say, I don't think she was there yet.
I cannot think of what the first one's name was, but she ended up leaving, and then I got Angie Pennington.
I don't know why I don't know.
She has nothing to do with hair, but she was, oh my gosh, she was my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes, she was precious.
Confidence builder for somebody who needed it.
Yes.
In hair school.
She was precious.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
As a business owner, what do you think the biggest challenge is?
Balance between like work and life, like personal. It's so hard. I was talking about it today with clients just because it's been a long couple weeks. And it's just like finding that time to like stop working and go be present like with everything else in your life. It's
you're in a long-term relationship, have been for a while.
Yep.
And then you have puppies.
Yes.
I'm so jealous. I want another puppy. But yeah, I think it is so hard as a stylist sometimes. I know with me with the kids, like that was a big adjustment. When I had Tucker, I remember feeling very torn between being at work when I needed to be and trying to take care of him.
Right.
And honestly, I thought it'd get easier as they got older, and I lied to myself. It's definitely the opposite. So when you get there, I'll have that conversation with you.
I'm not looking forward to it.
It's a juggle. I don't know if you get this, but do you feel like you're like a very driven person and you don't realize it until like one of your clients points it out? Of like, wow, how do you juggle it all? How do you do it all? And then you sit there and you're like, yeah, how do I do that?
And I don't even have like kids or...
No, but you have a busy life.
Yeah, but it's like, it's rewarding in a sense.
It is.
So it's like we have our pros and our cons, and that's definitely a con.
Yeah. I feel like I had the most beautiful quote put in my face today, and I know you're religious too. I feel like God was like, yeah, get out of your sulking moment. Like, let me bring you out of this. And then the quote came up and it was, I don't have to do this. I get to do this.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, that's true. That's very true. I get to go do this. I get to go spend time with people all day long.
I know.
And it doesn't make it seem so like when you're in this funk and this time of year, it definitely like drags you down a little bit.
Yep.
And I do feel like the stress really hits us January after the chaos of pretty much October, November, and December. And then January hits and we're all like
trying to breathe. And then we got taxes coming.
And then I was going to say, then taxes coming. I hate tax season. I saw a lot of other stylists on TikTok talking about tax season right now, and it makes me literally like my skin crawl.
I know. I try to scroll past.
You're like, scroll.
Not yet.
Not today. That is honestly, that's something that Dara and I even talked about on our podcast together.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, taxes. And she goes, you're making me sweat thinking about it. And
I literally
I feel sweaty talking about it. And maybe that's another thing that I guess we should, maybe we'll go into that. Like, I know it's not comfortable, but like it's not talked about in small businesses. Like, I love it when my clients genuinely don't know that a 1099 is the hardest ever.
It is so hard.
Shout out to my CPA because I feel for her right now. I feel like, so for those of you who don't know, at 1099, we don't get taxed all year long because we are essentially not under the table, because I don't want to say it's under the table. It's tracked. It's just a different way of doing it. We do it all at once or we do it quarterly.
Yep.
This year I was trying to do it quarterly and I did fairly well. Yeah, I'm still going to owe a little bit more, but I did it. But it's you pay it all at once. So like, I love it when people are like, oh yeah, I got like $6,000 back. I'm like, what I wouldn't give.
I wish. I wish you even have a penny back.
Right? I know. Every time I see, I'm like, okay, so how much? How bad is it going to be? Because it is painful.
It is.
And again, it makes everybody's like, I feel like anxiety high.
Yes. Well, I think what makes it worse is they did not teach it.
No.
They literally did not. And I'm like, that is such a big part of the job. I mean, we have to do it.
Well, even like numbers on a book.
Yeah.
Like, I hired a CPA that I finally was like, I want to see where I'm bleeding. And I myself had tried. I've done, like,
It's hard.
I know before we even started, you were talking about like, how did you get into this? And I'm like, oh, I've done a lot of research. I have done so much research into trying keeping bookwork. It's not the same. Like, my brain just does not function this way.
Right.
So I had her do up like this whole workup, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, we still have yet to sit down for me to understand it.
Yeah.
I can somewhat understand it, but not enough to where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But we do. We have to track everything. Everything.
It's so bad.
I was literally laying in bed the other night. This is when you know it's tax season. I was laying in bed the other night, and I was like, did I forget that write-off? I think I forgot to add that to the stack of papers to give her. And I'm like trying to run and go find the paperwork at like 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
Because of course it happens in the middle of the night.
And I swear, I just told a client this like yesterday. My brain is now wired where that's how I think, is I'm like, write-off. If I do that, that's a write-off.
The write-off fairy that they had going around, like the TikTok sound of like, that's a write-off fairy. Yes. Well, who's the write-off? Like, that's literally me.
Yeah, it's like in my brain now, which I kind of hate, because I hate
it's terrible.
I can't like ever get that off my brain. I'm like, what can I do?
Like, I was looking at classes around like our vacations to write off the hotel for a couple of nights. And like, where can I take a class?
Yes.
It's nice in that aspect, but you almost feel like you have to spend so much.
I know. I felt like I spent a ton this year, and I don't have like everything like added in and everything, but I wanted to just see where I was.
Yeah, like a genuine wide eyes.
It was just, I was like, dang, I thought like I'd spent so much this year. I'm like, I'm not going to probably owe that much. No. And even then it was just like, you spend so much on your business and then you still owe a ton. And I'm like, I don't have the money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't even have the money to be spending that on myself. Well, I mean, I do. It's just,
it's the self-preservation of like, you have to keep your own taxes back.
Yes.
I know my aunt who'd done hair for like 20 years. That was the first thing she had said to me when I graduated hair school. And I remember kind of thinking like, damn, that's harsh. And then after I had 2 years where I was good. Because you know, the first 2 years you barely make 10K.
Right.
You barely touch it. And then you literally hit it and you're like, oh my gosh, now I see what people are talking about.
Yep.
And it is hard.
I know, because I was looking at like kind of like total income, you know, always.
Oh, I do the same.
Bring home, but your total income. And I had that moment of like, wow, you have grown so much. Just based off, like last year, I thought my total income was crazy. And then just to see how much that jumped from last year to this year, I was like, you grew so much. But then I'm like, But that's more taxes I pay.
Right? There's the and then there's that. I think it's such a, like, okay, so you have all these stylists who are, like, doing education now, where it's like, be a 100K stylist. Right. Yes. And when people say that, do you slightly go, but I don't want 100K yet? My taxes say no.
I would love to bring home 100K,
but I don't want to pay the taxes on 100K.
Where are y'all spending it on? Right? Because I need to know. You
know who always enamors me the most? And I know we've talked about her, Jay-Z Styles.
Yeah.
Like, I started the same year she did.
Really?
Yes. So if that puts it in perspective, I've been doing hair for, actually this April will be 10 years. Officially out of school, 10 years behind the chair. Which, holy crap, that felt like it flew.
Yeah.
And we'll side note, my body shows that I have been doing hair for 10 years.
My body shows I've been doing it for 80 and I've been doing it not even 4.
My wrists, I'm going to sound so old on this podcast and I'm not even going to mean to. My wrists hurt more, my knees hurt more, and my hips. I'm starting to, like, you've heard all the older stylists say, like, you really got to take care of your body.
Yep.
They're not lying. I wish that they were. No, they're not. I'm 10 years deep going, ow. And you expect me to do this for another 30? This is going to be painful.
It's bad in my back. Like, in my, like, spine. I'm like, what?
I started, okay, all of my Veda teachers who listen to my podcast are going to hear this, and they're going to rip me a new one, specifically Katie. We were never allowed to cut sitting down.
Yeah.
That was considered lazy. It was considered like, you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
And I have been cutting sitting down. And I have been doing extensions sitting down has been a lot easier on my back.
I can't do it.
I thought I could, but honestly, like, so much easier on my back.
You're taller, though.
I am a lot taller.
You're taller.
So, okay, so the chairs are still not tall enough for me.
No.
Like, I have to order an extended hydraulic.
Yeah.
And it's still not tall enough for me.
Sometimes it's not tall enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're what, 5?
Like 4.
Yeah, that's what I thought. To someone getting into this, what do you suggest they do?
Definitely put themselves in the atmosphere. I feel like that, like, they told us that, you know, they always said, like, oh, you'll learn the most doing it. But it's like that really is the main thing. So I always tell, like, I've had some girls job shadow, and what I've noticed is anymore they're very iffy if they even want to do it. So I'm like, don't waste your money. Don't waste your money and your time.
Yep.
So I, like, that first year, like, if they get into it, go put yourself in the atmosphere. Go job shadow. Go sit there. And anymore, the generation, they're like, well, I want to get paid. I'm like, you're not going to get paid. Go sit and watch and learn.
I don't know if you feel this, but I feel like the commission salon is starting to come back with this generation.
Yeah.
And my aunt was commission. And, like, you didn't do anything other commission. If you were booth renting, you were, like, low man on the totem pole. Yeah. You didn't know what the hell you were doing. And, like, you were never going to make it anywhere. Yeah. Versus now, I mean, we have these beautiful salon suites. You have all these people who are really creating their own business, their own name brand, like, even through Instagram, Facebook, all of that. They're very solo stylists.
Yes.
And I do see this next generation coming in and changing that.
And I feel like it's because they're all realizing how hard it is.
Well, we made it look glamorous to them. We made it look easy. We were like, look at the pretty hair we do on the daily, and this is how much we get paid. I hate the paid videos.
Oh, I
hate the paid videos.
They're like, get out of here.
I know. I'm like, bitch, please. I did see one. She was like, this is me in a small town stylist, as a small town stylist. Ma'am,
so
how many years have you been doing hair? And please explain to me that's how much you're making, because I really think that's just your total for the day. You're not including your product. Yeah, it's painful to watch those, but I think we've kind of set it up where we've made this glamorous lifestyle that hairstylists can have. I mean, we have our, it is and it isn't. There are pros and cons. We just talked about taxes. Right. That's a big one. I can make my own schedule, but that still means I have to be in here even when I don't want to be here.
Yes. Well, and there goes the balance too, because we make our own schedule and people know that. So then they're like, well, why can't you just stay till 9 o'clock and do me? I really need. I'm like, because I want to go home.
I want to go home.
Are you staying at work till 9? No.
Do you feel like you turned into a Grinch this year, or is it just me? Because I have a hard time with the holiday season. Like, okay, let me explain this. Because here we are talking about how, like, when your family works versus when you knew how you have to work. This holiday season was really hard for me because I realized that, like, I had to work.
Yes.
Like, I had to work.
Right.
I just opened pretty much a whole new salon.
Yeah.
It's like back to square one after 6 years. It's great. It's so much fun. Not really. It's really kind of hard. But it's one of those things that I ended up working pretty much until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So I had to run home, make the side dishes, which my mom was a hero this year. She did not make us. She ended up doing most of it. I adore her for that. So I basically got to spend Thanksgiving and then was right back at it.
Right.
And then come Christmas, I was so busy pretty much all the weeks leading up to Christmas, even the weekends. Like there were a couple weekends I worked because I was so packed that by the time we realized it was literally, I think, it was that Friday before, because Christmas was on Wednesday this year. That Friday before, I realized that I still had to work 2 more days before Christmas. And it hit me like, I work Monday. Why did I do that? See? And I'm like, why did I do that? And here my family was getting together and we were doing all these fun things.
I know.
And then like I wanted to go ice skating with the kid. None of that happened this year.
Yeah.
Because I was so much into work.
Yeah.
And then I turned into a Grinch because then I was like, well, I didn't do anything Christmassy this year.
I know. That's what I actually just talked about today. Because I'm like, I took a random Wednesday off. I think it was last week. And everyone, when they walked in, they're like, did you not work today? I'm like, no. They're like, well, why not? Because I want to. Yeah. I worked so much through the holidays. I'm like, you all had like every day off and I was working. I remember Christmas Eve.
Were you a mess? Because I don't work Christmas Eve. I'm actually really...
Well, it was on a Tuesday, so I'm like, what do I do? Yeah. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to get people in. I didn't work like late. Yeah. But my boyfriend's family, they had a Christmas Eve lunch, and I didn't know about it. So I just went really late. And I walked in, and one of them asked how I was, and they're like, said something, and someone said hard worker, and she was like, surely you didn't work today. And I was like, no. I'm like, yeah, I worked today.
Oh, that's the worst.
I know. So it's like I didn't take any days off, really. Oh. And same with New Year's Eve. I worked New Year's Eve.
So I have a rule with the kids. I got lucky with New Year's Eve. Ella is born on the second.
Oh, yeah.
So I take off the first and the second because I made this mistake when I had... No, it was Elle. It was Ella's first birthday, and I ended up in a 7-hour color correction.
Oh, no.
And I missed her eating her smash cake and her birthday cake. And when I say I cried, I freaking cried. I cried so hard. So I made a promise to myself then and there that I'm not working either of my children's birthdays, ever. I don't even care if it's in the middle of the week. I am not working their birthdays. No. So I don't. And then every year my husband's like, so what are you doing today? I'm like, I'm not going to work on Tucker's birthday. I will pull him out of school. I am not going to work on Ella's birthday. It's not happening. So this year he's like, so you're really not working? I'm like, no, I'm not working. I go to work Friday, which is what it was. It was like the day after, but I'm not going to work on her birthday.
Well, and that just, like, we don't have set hours. No. You never know what you're going to get into.
And you feel like you get burnout if you don't put those boundaries in. Right. And I feel like I didn't put boundaries in this year for Christmas season, and I was like kind of pouting, like laying in bed, like, this sucks.
I know, but it's like we literally do it to ourselves.
And then that's the thing. There's no one else to blame but yourself, and you're like, damn it.
But that's one of the cons to being your own boss. Yeah, and making your own schedule.
Yeah, like that's what happened to me this Christmas, and it was really hard. Yeah, and it's that balance.
Yes,
I felt guilty this year too about taking a vacation 2 weeks after I opened a salon.
Oh my god! Now you're good.
I literally had my grand opening on the 20th, and we left the 23rd.
Yeah, I would probably feel that way too, which is horrible because who cares?
Well, like I said, then I pushed myself so hard to have all these appointments literally 3 days later. Right. I'm like, why did I do this to myself? I don't know, because we're crazy. It's that hard work, determination thing.
Yes.
Well, this is a great question after that. How do you define success in your career?
I was going to say, to me, like in right now where I'm at, just in the career, like being booked out, like that to me, like I stay consistently at least a month. And like that, I was like, dang,
I'm proud of you.
I'm booked out.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So like that was like a big like success.
You felt like you made it.
Yes,
because that's the goal that everybody preaches.
Because it's like I never have like a number in mind of like what I want to bring home. I mean, I do, but like that's not like what I'm determining if I'm succeeding or not. But like to have like those repeat clients and then having myself be like booked out.
The consistency of it and like almost like the stability of the consistency.
Right. So like for me, I was like, you're doing good then. You know, so like I guess for like where I'm at right now, that would be.
That's your definition. I like it because honestly, that's showing that all of those women that we've kind of come behind, where they've always been like, well, you know, you got to get your regulars, you got to get your regulars, you got to get consistent. You've hit that goal.
Yeah.
And that's really cool because when you hit that in your career, you're like, wow.
Right.
There's some serious stability in this.
Because it's like, oh, people actually like what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that's like a success. That to me is like, okay, so you are successful. You know,
like you said, it's not necessarily a number. It's just I have consistency here and I have an even flow and a wonderful clientele.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for sure. Ooh, this is a good one. What is the biggest compliment you have ever received for yourself or for your business?
Well, I just got one not too long ago, and it was. I don't want to sound like braggy.
You're not going to sound
the story, but it was just one of those moments that like I went home all giddy.
Oh yeah, you got in the car and you were feeling yourself. You're like, yes,
Mom. So I worked with Olivia Hackelman. It's Vessels now, but I worked with her when they opened up her salon and.
She's on the list, girl. If I can get her in here, her and Tashnoa, I would love to sit down with the two of them.
They're so good. They're so sweet. But so, anyways. I went there and just was like their assistant for like a summer and always have looked up to those girls, always. Well, she went on maternity leave and she had texted me, asked if I could take some of her extension clients while she was gone. So right there, I was like, okay. Kind of made me nervous, but I was like, okay. Well, then one of her clients came in and she was just like, we were introducing ourselves and she said something about, yes, Liv said, like, you were the only other person she'd trust me with my hair or something. And I was like, she said that? Like, I was just, like, sure. I was like, she said that? Like, I was in disbelief. I'm like, you're lying. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh. But then I, like, went home, like, oh, my gosh. She said she...
Yeah, like somebody that you looked up to so big said something like, you're the only other one. That's huge.
And I'm like, there's so many other people, though. I'm like, she's lying. She just said that.
But yeah, you get in the car and you're like, I'm feeling shady about that comment.
So it just made me feel so good because it was someone that I've looked up to who then is looking at me saying, like, oh, yeah, I can trust her with my clients while I'm gone. So like that comment was just a big...
I was going to say that's a big one. And honestly, it kind of embodies the whole purpose of this podcast. Yeah. I mean, it really does. Yes. I say it over and over, but it's not a competition. We have such a big community that we can offer other stylists to be friends with and to make that's what it's about. And so having that be your biggest compliment, like that's it right there. And that's honestly why I want them on the podcast so bad. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tag them in this one. I'm going to be like, girls, get the memo. Come sit down with me. It's really not that bad. I promise. Everybody sees the equipment and they're immediately like,
yeah, like I
this is so scary. I'm like, it's really not, I promise. All right. What is the biggest takeaway you hope for our listeners today?
Well, I would say I hope they take away that they are seeing inside our perspective of the job and not just like you were saying, like social media has made it such a, oh, it's so glamorous and it's so easy.
Yeah.
I hope they take away like just understanding our perspective,
our side,
things,
the small business side of it, the human side of us, not the robot hair person.
Right. And I hope like it's someone listening who's thinking about any kind of small business, it's giving them information on it and kind of helps them out in a sense.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to have help instead of just jumping into it.
Well, that, and it's nice to have people to lean on.
Yes.
Like I know a couple weeks ago, I was in the salon with you guys, I think. Yeah, it was you and Jada. And I had said something about oh, it's been tough, or oh, it's been hard. And you're like, yeah, girl, like, I know, just keep pushing through. And just having that other person to be like, you're not alone.
Right. It's like, yeah, I think we're all going.
Yeah. Oh, we're all going through it. It's so hard, but it's nice to have that. So yeah, I agree. And where can our listeners find out more about you and your services?
Well, my Instagram is Hair by Cambria. So they can message me. I have a link on there. I don't do online booking, but there is a link so they can like look at pictures I put on there, which I've not done in a while.
Yes,
I've been so bad about posting and
you have not. No. I'm gonna ring
stories.
Yeah,
Stories.
And do you know how many times I have been watching your stories more than anything? Like, girl, you pop up on my feed all the time. Your pictures with the bows yesterday.
Yeah,
totally saw that. It was adorable. And I remember going, I don't ever take pictures of my stuff like that. I need to do that. You inspired me. So yes, you have been posting. You're getting the right type of crowd. But that's okay. All right, I will link all of those in the show notes. I'll link her Facebook and also her Instagram. Well, thank you, dear, for coming on today. I loved having you on.
Yes.
And as for our listeners, as always, go be hair happy. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening to Shear It Up Podcast. We are now on Spotify, Patreon, Apple Music, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Buzzsprout. To follow us, look in the show notes for all the links below. It's Sheer Happiness, SHEAR, Salon on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.